BioWare takes one part Kung Fu.
Once you put on your Kung Fu goggles, it gets crazy. We have everything from magical or impossible fighting styles all the way to the gambit of things that are more realistic.
Mixes it with one part video game.
So you know anybody who doesn't like people kicking ass and flying through the air? Now you put it into a game and you got something.
And throws in a dash of Eastern mythology.
What's really interesting about the wuxia genre is it's been around for literally thousands of years.
They end up with their most ambitious RPG to date.
All the pieces come together.
It's magical. There's no other way to describe it other than just sheer joy.
That is going to completely blow people away.
This is the making of Jade Empire.
Hi guys, welcome to BioWare. I'm going to be taking you through a little bit of a tour of some of our offices so you can actually see some of the things we're doing here on the Jade Empire.
Since 1995, a Canadian game developer called BioWare has been taking gamers into fantastic worlds.
Well, BioWare is most certainly among the elite game developers out there. The thing that made them really, is fantastic, with like Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter and things like that is that they really have the ability to grasp not only like all the elements that are required for a role-playing game, but also they know how to tell a story.
Only one way out for you!
And that's really what they're masters of.
In 2003, BioWare ventures to a galaxy far, far away with the release of Star Wars: Knights of the Old Republic.
Knights of the Republic, I think, struck such a chord with so many people.
Those guys made a Star Wars game that Star Wars fans have wanted since Return of the Jedi.
It touched people in a way that some of our previous games had a little more difficulty touching.
But rather than working on a sequel to their new hit, BioWare decides to follow through on an old idea.
It was actually about 10 years ago that Greg and Ray first thought of it.
Jade Empire is a game that we've been thinking about at BioWare for a really long time, and I know both Ray and I personally, as well as a whole bunch of other people here, are really passionate about it.
We wanted to wait until the right moment in BioWare's history as a company to make a game like Jade Empire. It's our first new intellectual property. We wanted to wait until the people here had the experience to make a game, build a story that's going to be awesome, make a real-time fighting system, fast-paced, real-time martial arts combat, and also wanted to wait until we had the right system to develop it on.
The concept of martial arts role-playing game would have real resonance within the video game industry.
The Canadian developer trades in their lightsabers for nunchucks and starts development on an Xbox exclusive called Jade Empire.
Let's take a look at one of our designers' offices. Designers, of course, are responsible for the way the game shapes up.
I think they like new, interesting challenges.
We wanted to build up a reputation with our fans and also feel like we had the experience inside the company to really do just an amazing job on our first new intellectual property. And Jade Empire is that new IP.
Creating a new brand is the toughest thing in the video game business, and that's a very courageous thing to do, but at the same time, BioWare has enough cred out there that people are going to go, I'm going to play Jade Empire, even though I don't know anything about this universe and it's not sci-fi.
We had two goals. Number one, we wanted to make our first wholly made setting at BioWare to be something that was really fun, interesting, a little bit different.
So this is an example of the use of sweeping vistas to help identify where you are in the world so that the player could navigate without constantly referring to the map.
And the other goal, I think, was we wanted to get action gamers into RPG gaming. The merging of the two genres is something that's very exciting.
BioWare's bold new direction will take gamers into worlds unlike any other.
The reason I'm standing here looking imposing is because back there is some super secret stuff that I can't show anyone. Let's just say, whatever's back there, it's going to be really, really cool.
For Jade Empire, BioWare will create a new world unlike any seen by Western audiences.
The good thing about working with something like Dungeons & Dragons or Star Wars that we did in the past is they have so much source material. But the thing is with Jade Empire, of course, that we had to make everything from scratch.
It's very stylized, very nuanced, very kinetic. To that, we look to the experts in Hong Kong cinema.
We first, of course, watched as many kung fu movies as we could.
We also watched, every movie we could find, and we ran the spectrum from like the cheesiest, stupidest, most ridiculous martial arts movie from the 60s or 70s, all the way to really, really good Asian films like Hero or Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. Once someone starts watching all these and you put on your kung fu goggles, and once the kung fu goggles are on, it gets crazy. You come up with some amazing ideas that actually transfer really well into video games.
What's really interesting about the wuxia genre is really how untapped it has been by Western developers. It's been around for literally thousands of years. When we started work on Jade Empire, one of the first things we did was start with the primary source. In many cases, the kung fu movies we see are all references back to that. So we went back to the original source, things like Journey to the West, Outlaws of the March, these really, really old Chinese novels, hundreds of years old in many cases.
For my part, I delved more deeply into myths and arts of ancient China.
If all of those myths were true, then Jade Empire is the world that would have resulted from that. So if dragons really existed, if magic really was like that, if people could actually fly, that is the sort of thing that you have in Jade Empire, and that's the sort of world we're trying to create.
It's not clearly reality.
Demon form.
You can transform into a 20-foot monster and run around stomping your enemies and shoot fireballs out of your hands. It's clearly not real. But the way of playing with that and making it seem sort of like a dream world or like a mythical world out of the past is very important.
You see all kinds of cool settings, everything from lush jungles to snowy mountain fortresses.
It's not a literal adaptation of the myths and legends of ancient China, but rather more inspired by those. So we're creating a brand new fantasy world.
It brings an entirely new world. There's a whole different conception of how magic works. There's a different idea of what sorts of monsters and demons are running around. How people get more powerful, what a hero really is.
BioWare must make the content of Jade Empire accessible to Western audiences without straying too far from its Eastern roots.
We're hoping that this is going to be globally successful, but we have to make sure that some of the more obscure elements aren't going to be lost on people. We had to try and find almost the universal elements that would appeal to everyone while maintaining that wonderful flavor that you have in all those books.
There are certain characters we felt we couldn't make the game without. Outlaws of the March has over 100 primary characters. This is something you'd never see in Western literature. We knew we wanted the tradition of the esoteric magicians. We looked back to China's first emperors for sort of imperial inspiration.
That was quite challenging.
We realized we had to do some homework. There's little bits of folklore, little bits of mythology. We tried to collect all of those, read through them, and then start talking about what made them Chinese, what made them exotic or strange, but also make it accessible.
After watching hundreds of kung fu films and countless hours of research, the storyline for Jade Empire takes form.
Basically what you're looking at in Jade Empire is starting the game as a young martial arts master. Been training under Master Li. He's not a real talkative fellow, and he hasn't really told you everything, but everyone's kind of got the sense that he's about to reveal something big. Normally, a spirit would journey and go to the wheel of life and be reincarnated, but somehow that isn't happening. That's something that's affecting the entire empire. And that's really the main plot motivator. So, you're going to find out why.
As with previous BioWare releases, morality will play a key role in the game.
We really struggled to put a lot of extra choice in this game. It's not just black and white, it changes the way the general game develops.
Are these floating stones not wondrous?
The choice is really important. There's multiple endings.
That is a dark philosophy that I would not dare to argue with you.
Good and evil, but with more of a gray zone in between.
The path of peace is the only way to a good life.
Giving the player the chance to justify their actions.
I have irrefutable proof that might makes right.
So you end up with some of our most complex villains because their motivations aren't just, yeah, I'm evil. It's, I'm doing this because this is what's right. So they make pretty compelling villains.
Having black and white or good and evil choices should always be part of the experience. If you're just trying to be a good character, trying to do the right thing, that should be an option. And if you want to be the evil guy, if you want to, have fun and do some of the things you can never do in your actual life, where the great choices come in is that they enrich the experience. It's more like real life.
The setting isn't the only new territory BioWare will tackle. The lightning-quick martial arts action of Jade Empire will require them to approach in-game combat a whole new way.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what you want. If you want to stick to that style, you're going to have to do multiple strikes. We could make one up. 1, 2, 3, 4.
For many people, the biggest draw of Eastern mythology is Kung Fu. To capture the fast-paced action of Eastern martial arts, BioWare will have to create a whole new combat system.
Can you do the hurricane kick?
It is a big departure for us in many ways. We've never really attempted a role-playing game with real-time action combat.
Jade Empire is the first time we've taken one of our role-playing games and moved it from a turn-based system into a real-time action combat system.
The decision to make a real-time combat system really came from just what you're trying to do in the game. Like when you become a martial arts master like Jade Empire, just to really do the material justice. You really want to feel like you're in control.
We have over 30 styles, and we're getting a couple more all the time. And the good thing about this is you can change the styles instantly.
Paralyzing.
You can use the combos used from other things, and you'll just be astounded by the new effects you have.
Legendary fist.
So using that tactically is really what makes the game fun. So if you get in a group of enemies, there's a whole bunch of them, they're all surrounded, you switch to a really fast style, you use the clearing move, which is A and B combo, and everyone jumps out of the way, and then you switch back to a heavy one and concentrate on one opponent again. And that's all really fast, it's really intuitive. We were really excited that that came together so very well.
So we're going to take a look at the combat team, and these are the guys who are really making the guts of Jade Empire. What they do, essentially, is balance the combat, make sure that everything's functioning, and they've got quite a few tricks in their sleeves as well.
Demon form.
We have what are called transformation styles. So at certain points in the game, when you defeat some enemies, monsters really, they'll drop their spirit. You're able to capture their spirit before it takes off. By having this spirit, by stealing it, you're able to transform into this creature later on in combat.
A Kung Fu master is deadly with just his fists, but he's even deadlier when he's armed.
There are 5 different weapon styles, of which you can use a variety of different weapons with. There's a single sword, twin swords, twin axes, which you can use other large weapons with, one in each hand, as well as a staff and a spear.
There are still upgradable weapons. So for instance, I can advance longsword style in many different ways, and I can add speed and power to it. I can make it more defensive. In addition, there's the dragon amulet, and this is actually on my shirt there. This is an amulet that the player gets as part of his birthright, and it's essentially a collection of empty slots, and you can slot in specific gems that work like inventory items in a traditional role-playing game. So you can add to your armor, you can add to your chi refresh rates, you can make your chi regenerate. You can add special abilities like flame or lightning, and this becomes an alternate way of enhancing your abilities.
But it also gives you a lot of tactics. You have body, mind, and spirit. Body is basically how much damage that the player can take. Mind influences their focus ability, which is their ability to actually slow down time, or the ability to concentrate and use more complex styles. Spirit is your chi, or your magical internal energy.
Chi it's a fascinating piece of Chinese tradition, really Eastern tradition. So when we started laying down the roots for the combat system, we knew Chi had to be an integral part. So you can use Chi to heal yourself. You can use it to make your attacks more powerful. If you learn magic styles, you have to use Chi at that point to power them.
But it also, gives you different dialogue skills as well. So if you have a more powerful body, for example, then maybe you're better at intimidating people.
To finish what you started.
You?
Clumsy as an ox.
If you have a more powerful mind, maybe you have an intuition sense that you can use to increase the role-playing and to find things you wouldn't normally find.
You are the one who stole the scrolls of the 7 wisdoms.
You do not stand alone, my friend.
BioWare enlists the help of real-world martial artists to make sure the characters in the game fight like true Kung Fu masters.
We went and motion captured all animation in the game with martial arts masters, some of them from as far away as mainland China. The results are amazing.
We used about 4 different stunt people, 1 female and 3 males, and they had a background basically in various martial arts. and put up with a lot of full days of punishment for the game.
BioWare is already taking gamers into uncharted territory with Jade Empire's blend of Eastern mythology and Kung Fu. But the team plans to delve even deeper into the world of Wushu with a unique cast of characters. BioWare's Jade Empire is different from everything the company has ever done before. And the cast of characters they create is just as unique.
We'll look at some pictures of models for the game. And this is the character, Fierce Ming, that we created based on him.
There's a variety of different starting characters. Tiger Shen is our big, strong guy. Wu the Lotus Blossom is our balanced woman. Furious Ming is a fast male. Radiant Gen Z is a fast female. Scholarling is a magical female who's got a lot of chi.
The most memorable, the ones people will latch onto, I think, are the followers.
Dawnstar is one of the people that grew up with you at the school. She has this sort of strange ability. She can actually see ghosts often when other people can't, and sometimes she can even talk to them.
You have guys like Black Whirlwind. He's a drunken axeman. There's no other way to describe him except maybe smelly, dirty, drunken, psychotic axeman.
There's Kang the Mad, and Kang the Mad is the one that builds and upgrades your flyer. The flyer can be used in the flyer minigame, which is a top-down shooter. It's also the way that you can travel around the world.
Time away from the wife is welcome, but only if it is less dangerous.
There's Henpecked Ho, whose name says it all. He's had a troubled life.
He is coming! Death's hand is coming! Death's hand is coming!
Yeah, that's great.
And a mix of Hollywood and local Canadian talent gives these characters voices of their own.
We have 352 characters that speak in the game. So to get those 352 characters, we're using 80 different actors, over half of them being in Los Angeles, the rest of them being here in Edmonton. So simultaneously, we're running 2 studios over a period of 12 weeks, and it's just been a fantastically huge process.
It's incredibly hard. I'd be lying if I said anything different. It's very, very complex. All of our characters are fully voice acted.
Vigorous philosophical discussion always puts a spring in my step.
There's a lot of iteration that goes into the writing of them, and then you've got to make sure that writing works with every single choice the player could possibly make.
BioWare even goes so far as to create a completely new language to be spoken by the inhabitants of Jade Empire.
We hired a linguist who actually wrote the languages for the game, the Thofan language, and he has backgrounds specifically in actually Japanese and different Asian languages. So he wanted to give us this language that felt like an Asian language, but wouldn't be construed to be any of the Asian languages. It was definitely a challenge for actors.
An extensive amount of VO will really help tell the story, because then you start putting an actual voice to the characters, and then it makes the character more believable. Right now, we're going to have at least 14,000 lines of dialogue in this game.
The minister may dispute your claim when he arrives.
But voice actors aren't all that's needed to breathe life into the world of Jade Empire.
How was that, Mike? It's really good.
Because it's our first original IP, we have a lot of creative freedom in the design of the sound. Like with Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, we used a lot of course, Star Wars sounds. You can't have a Star Wars game without the lightsaber sound.
You guys ready? Ready?
With Jade Empire, we have a lot of creative freedom. We can go ballistic. For one thing, the music, we're probably going to have 90 different tunes. There's a lot of music, maybe close to 2 hours of music in it. For the sound effects, the final game will probably have close to 2,000. Just the sheer volume and sheer variety.
The music is fantastic for the game. It has a definite ring of authentic Chinese instruments through it as a theme.
The environments are so lush, and so it's important to have music that accentuates. If you're exploring a scholar's garden, you expect a light musical theme with kind of, those chimes going in the background. But if you get into battle, you expect the Chinese drums.
BioWare will use every ounce of power from the Xbox to bring together all the elements of Jade Empire.
Because we know we're going to be coming out for Xbox, we can optimize specifically for that piece of hardware.
The depth of the game just wouldn't be possible in the other system.
As the 2005 release date nears, anticipation for Jade Empire continues to grow, and the team behind it is eager to finally get their game out to the public.
Do you know anybody who doesn't like people kicking ass and flying through the air? And now you put it into a game and you remove the wires and you got something.
I knew that this was BioWare's best story. This amazing story that is going to completely blow people away.
When I saw Jade Empire for the first time, it was love at first sight.
And the game's going to be awesome.
It's a magical experience when we get to the point where the ideas that you talked about are now real gameplay. There's no other way to describe it other than just sheer joy to be able to play the game that you dreamed of.
All of a sudden the game comes to life and you're like, wow.
We're really trying to take everything we've learned over the past decade at BioWare and put it all into Jade Empire. And we're really striving to make the best possible game, the best game we've ever made.
Okay, listen up, Mech Warrior. Mechs are the key to winning any war. The more we get and the less they have, the better. I have an idea for a lesson in audacity. I'm going to drop you in a prototype battle armor right inside the enemy base. You're gonna grab a mech and walk it back. Repeat as needed. Sound good?
I'm reading support vehicles, as well as active mechs. You won't be able to steal all of them.
All right, I'm going to drop you on the ridge on the west side of the base.
The enemy mech warrior to eject. Voila, 3 minutes. Work quick or the mech will throw you off. Defensive systems may do this as well. Sir, we'll need all the weapons we can get.
That's one. Hop on and I'll get you back out there. And you might not have to destroy all the defenders. We're just here for the mechs. Your call. On the way to the eastern side of the base.
Now we're talking serious upgrade in firepower.
I think one more mech should do it. Let's do this, Mech Warrior. En route to Western Drop Zone.
I'm reading hostiles inbound on the Icarus, requesting assistance. Then go down and steal a mech. Sir, I added a really cool feature into the battle armor. Jump jet near an enemy mech and use your claw to latch on. It'll bring up the NeuroHack interface.
Stop them! They stole my mech!
All right, now we have the guns to fight back. I think they want their mechs back.
Foster, if you have any of our new mechs online, get out there and help. Try not to get yourself killed, and stay out of the Mech Warrior's way.
All right, now this is what I'm talking about.
Remember, Lieutenant, this is war, not a game. Keep your head in the fight. who it is we're fighting and why.
Pure performance, pure power, pure control. Can you handle reality? You buy it, then you rebuild it. You tune it, then you tune it more. Drive it. Then you drive it harder until it's no longer a machine. It's you. Forza Motorsport. You are what you race.